The following may upset liberals who don't want voters to know the truth about Kamala Harris.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. And good morning to you all still. Well, some of you may still be the morn. Some others, it may not be the morn. It may just be in the afternoon. It might be the lunchtime. You might be on your lunch eating. Well, hopefully you guys get to enjoy this, because this will be the Kamala Harris episode, to where you guys get to enjoy it in its content. Now, I will be showing you exactly kind of what I've gotten over and kind of the history of Kamala Harris a little bit here and stuff like that. So, it's maybe a tiny bit long video, but we shall see, my friends, we shall see. So, first, let's start with Kamala Harris. I think what thing we should probably be hitting home outside of the illegal immigrant situation is probably your health insurance. I'm pretty sure everybody's fond of health insurance, and I'm pretty sure everybody has an opinion on what is our best health benefits for you guys, or what have you. Now, if you guys have a private health plan, like Kaiser or whatever, that, you have health insurance, well, be no more afraid, because Kamala Harris is going to make it universal health care, and then remove your private insurance, and you will not be able to have it at all. That is just the case that is going to happen here. So, without further ado, my friends, here's Kamala Harris's stance on her actual health care, and how she is going to, and her plan to remove it from your hands because you don't need it. You'll be stuck on a plan like everybody else.
Meet their bottom line in terms of their profit motivation. That is inhumane.
Just to follow up on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care. And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
This is among Democrats, Wolf. I just want to make that clear. Among Democrats, only 30% favor going to a government-run program that would replace private insurance. 49%, the plurality, says no. We should not replace private insurance entirely with a government-run program. So when Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Bill de Blasio, those four raised their hands, and then Kamala Harris said the next day she heard the question wrong, that's the political concern for her. Not even Democrats are supportive of getting rid of private insurance.
Yeah, so as you can see here, Kamala Harris, as she stated before, is going to remove your private insurance and make it universal health care, and I think that's going to have everything drastically worse for all of you involved, because you won't be able to get into a actual appointment for months and what have you, because of all the backlog. So this is what's going to happen. She will remove your private health insurance. So hopefully you guys are prepared for that. If she gets into office, your private health insurance will go bye-bye, and that is what you're going to have to deal with it. And as you can see here, a lot of people, even Democrats, do not really want this. That's because it would be a terrible and horrible idea. We should be able to choose who we want to have as our private insurance and who we believe and trust that would, for our insurance. We shouldn't have some type of government have full control over our lives and dictate when or how we can go and see people. It's really quite insane, honestly. Well, if you think Kamala Harris is done there, then you are mistaken, my friends. Because now, Kamala Harris, this is what her whole situation is with the border and her being a border czar, I guess you could say, because she has crafted and has done absolutely nothing at the border and has caused immense issues with people dealing with the illegal immigrants. So without further ado, my friends, here's great border czar Kamala Harris on your opinions for the border.
If you ever wondered how Joe Biden could get the border so screwed up, remember, he had help. Here's Biden appointing Kamala Harris to be his border czar to deal with illegal immigration. And here are a record number of illegal immigrants, 10 million and counting, flooding over the border after Harris was put in charge of stopping illegal immigration. To be fair, Harris got off to a rough start by ignoring the border.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
Harris was liberal on illegal immigration before she ever reached the White House. As a prosecutor in San Francisco, Harris allowed illegal immigrant drug dealers to enter job training and have their criminal records wiped clean. One of the illegal immigrants Harris released went on to steal an SUV and ran down a young woman, seriously injuring her. And, of course, Harris backs sanctuary city laws that harbor illegal immigrants, even criminals. She even backs taxpayer-funded health care for illegals, record illegal immigration, special treatment for illegals, taxpayer-paid benefits. And Harris still doesn't get it.
I've been working on this issue for a very long time.
That's the truth about Kamala Harris. She's dangerously liberal on illegal immigration.
And it gets even worse. Here's an illegal immigrant lady that came in, that was in here, and saying she's not illegal and stuff like that. And it's not looking too great for Kamala Harris in this respect, because she even goes on to say that she defends and supports for Medicare for all for illegal immigrants. So, even if you do get your health care for all, the illegal immigrants will also be getting it as well, which means it would also make the wait times for you to get any type of major procedure even longer. Take a look at this.
And how easy it is to become a U.S. citizen.
Claudia Rivera knows all too well. She spent her Saturday at this immigrant resource fair in San Francisco, sponsored by Community Support Services and District Attorney Kamala Harris.
Your immigrant status, whatever it is, does not, in our mind's eye, designate you as a criminal.
Harris wants immigrants to know that San Francisco police and prosecutors will protect illegal immigrants if they are victims of crime. Claudia Rivera says she came here illegally 3 years ago and needs a good job, medical services, and yes, citizenship.
I'm good woman. I'm not criminal. You see, I make it all things very good. But I need help.
We had a very spirited debate on this stage last night on the topic of decriminalization of the border. If you'd be so kind, raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation. Can we keep the hands up so we could see them?
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct. Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. Mm-hmm. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Yeah, she is full on illegal immigration. She failed at the border. She does not do her job at all. She continues to be a full-on supporter of illegal immigration. So from what we have here, from what we gathered, is that she will, if she is in office, she will be super strong on illegal immigration. So all the illegal immigration that you guys hate, that we all hate as a country right now, she will put it full force. It will most likely be worse than what Joe Biden had in place. And then on top of that, you guys probably won't even get health care because she will most likely focus all the health care on the illegal immigrants. So I don't know about you guys, but that seems to be a huge problem. On top of that, we don't know what her policies are necessarily. She hasn't really gone out and spoke anything at all about her actual legitimate policies or what she was going to do and things like that. So this is all that we can really bake on, right? This is the only thing that we have that makes any sense to us that what she was going to do. Now, so this is this is what Kamala Harris was doing during the whole Afghanistan debacle, and she didn't seem to take this quite well. She seemed to be quite enthusiastic about it.
Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do. And I'm going to add to that. This is a president who has an extraordinary amount of courage. He is someone who I have seen over and over again make decisions based on what he truly believes, based on his years of doing this work and studying these issues, what he truly believes is the right thing to do. And I'm going to tell you something about him. He is acutely aware that it may not be politically popular or advantageous for him personally. It's really something to see. And I wish that the American public could see sometimes what I see. Because ultimately, and the decision always rests with him, but I have seen him over and over again make decisions based exactly on what he believes is right, regardless of what maybe the political people tell him is in his best self-esteem.
Yeah, so we have Kamala Harris here being, even though she was the last one in the room when the big Afghanistan debacle happened, she was there. She was the last person there, and she agreed to the decision that Joe Biden made during that whole debacle. So this is what you're going to be having here in your office if you put in Kamala Harris. That's just the reality, right? This is what we are seeming to expect here. Now, here's another thing here, another video clip of Kamala Harris supporting defund the police and doing everything in her power to keep it alive and well. But of course, you know, she wouldn't do that, right, guys?
Summer of 2020, when there were protests across the country after a police officer murdered George Floyd, many progressives and liberals were talking about defunding police departments nationwide. One local radio show asked then-Senator Kamala Harris where she stood on the defund the police movement. Take a listen to this.
Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. This whole movement is about rightly saying we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
Now, in another interview that same week, Harris praised Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti for removing $150 million from the police budget and investing that money in social services. Listen to this.
That's a legitimate conversation, and it requires a really critical evaluation. I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
Now, some important context here is that polling showed that reducing police budgets was never really popular, even in 2020. A Pew Research poll found that year that just 25% of adults supported reducing police budgets that year, and by 2021, that support had decreased to just 15%.
So yeah, she is very, very pro defund the police, and she will most likely defund the police yet again in order to cater to the masses, which will leave more chaos and crime in our country, which is already a huge issue to begin with. So we're going to have to deal with the huge defundment of police. At least this is what we can go off of, right? Because she hasn't really said anything else to refute any of those claims. Now, finally, finally, we will talk about Kamala Harris and her Minnesota Freedom Fund, to where she was posted a tweet saying if you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota, and that was by secure.actblue.com, and it says your support will help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota, when this was all during the Summer of Love, where that was going down in riots. And it's funny enough, she chooses the person that she was very good friends with, which is this guy here, Tim Walz, who agreed with all this stuff. So again, you're going to see not much of a difference, if not worse, if we go with Kamala Harris here. And I don't know what else to tell you guys, but it seems to be pretty terrible. Now, that's pretty much all we have so much on Kamala Harris and her policies and what will potentially be happening. Of course, we have this here as well, a little bit of spite. Kamala Harris' great-great-great-great-grandfather was a notorious Irish slave owner who bought Jamaican plantation and traveled to London to fight abolition, historian claims. So, yeah, she has quite a bit of a past here. And again, if we go down here, we get to see where she was. She was mostly in Canada. She was raised in Canada. She may have been born in the U.S. in Oakland, California, but she was 100% raised in Canada, and you can kind of see where she has. She's all Indian heritage here and whatnot. Orlando. This was in Oakland, by the way. And this was her being photographed in 1968. And then this is her, the infamous picture of her, being with her Indian family, what have you. So she kind of flips on the dime. She can't really be trusted. Yeah. This is something that people need to start understanding here. Kamala Harris plays to her own fiddle. She will only cater to what will make her potentially win. She's not true to her own causes, and her policies will probably be the death of this country, if you guys ever mean so. So that's it for the video, guys. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.